You are watching UK Crownix. Tonight, Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the time of Harry is finished, and James Alexander is now stepping forward. The big structural change is complete, and the new leading group has arrived. The empty place has now been taken, and the time of Prince Harry is officially finished. As King Charles III gets ready for an important state visit to the United States in April 2026, a new person has appeared at the side of the future King William. It is not the Duke of Sussex, and it is not a short-term replacement. Meet James Alexander, the Earl of Wessex, the 18-year-old who has just done what many people believed could not be done. He has made Harry no longer needed in the system. While the world was busy watching the non-stop media stories coming from Montecito, a quiet change was happening inside the stone walls of Buckingham Palace. Behind closed doors, with the direct and strict guidance of Prince William, James Alexander went through a tough transformation from a shy teenager into one of the monarchy's strongest and most reliable figures. The key moment came during the Easter celebrations of 2026, where one simple visual change sent strong shock waves through the global diplomatic world. James stood exactly where Harry once stood, placed directly behind the Prince of Wales, showing a clear and final change in the royal order. This is not only about a family event. It is about the cold and serious reality of how a state works. The British Foreign Office has confirmed that for the upcoming 250th anniversary of American independence, Harry and Meghan have been completely left out of the plan. There will be no meetings, no halfway rolls, and no coming back together. Instead, the Crown has presented its new leading figure to the world stage. By turning 18 at the end of 2025, James Alexander did not just become an adult. He stepped into a role that had been empty for many years. He is now the new spare. But this time, there is no drama, no personal book, and full loyalty to the throne. As we look at the official papers from the 2026 changes, one thing is very clear. The Sussex Chapter has been closed with a final and firm decision. But how did this 18-year-old manage to move ahead of a well-known global figure like Harry in less than a year? The answer is found in a private agreement made between William and James in late 2025, an agreement that changed the future of the House of Windsor forever. To understand how James Alexander became such an important part of the monarchy in 2026, we must look back at the quiet years when he was learning. While the news was full of the dramatic exit of the Sussexes, a different kind of story was being written inside the private rooms of Windsor and Kensington Palace. This was the training of a prince, not through public speeches, but through quiet work and complete privacy. James, the son of Prince Edward and Sophie, had always been someone who stayed quiet and watched carefully. However, as 2025 came to an end and he got closer to his 18th birthday, his role began to change from a small royal member into an important strategic figure. This change was not by chance. It was carefully planned and guided like a master lesson in royal image building, led by Prince William himself. People close to the royal household say that William saw in James the qualities that had been missing during the chaos of recent years. A deep sense of duty, no strong ego, and a natural understanding that the crown must always come before the person. The relationship between William and James became much stronger than just uncle and nephew. It turned into a mentor and student connection, a partnership created to protect the future of the throne. William, still dealing with the personal and institutional damage caused by his brother leaving, put a lot of time and effort into James. He did not only teach him royal rules. He also shared the heavy idea behind the role of the spare. The belief that being second is not a trap, but a strong position where you are always ready. Under William's guidance, the shy teenager who once avoided cameras started to show a new level of strength and confidence. By the start of 2026, the results of this hard training were very clear. James Alexander was no longer just the Earl of Wessex. He had become a living example of the monarchy's new correction period. While Harry's public image became connected with Hollywood fame and public complaints, James became the face of steady loyalty and calm strength. The British public, and more importantly the international diplomatic world, started to notice this change. During the Easter service of 2026, the visual proof was very strong. As James walked beside the Prince of Wales, his body language looked just like William's, disciplined, focused on the future, and completely steady. But why was this exact timing so important? Why did the palace choose to reveal their secret plan in 2026? It was not only because James turned 18. It was part of a careful decision to reduce risk for the future king's visit to America. The royal family understood that if they did not have a strong and trusted replacement for Harry on the world stage, the media would always focus on the empty place left behind by the Sussex Gap. James Alexander did not only take that place. He removed the need for it completely. As we look more closely at the diplomatic messages from this time, a surprising detail becomes clear. William had given James a clear and special set of instructions for the 2026 tour, instructions made to keep the Sussexes far away from the royal spotlight. The real size of the change in 2026 is not seen in newspapers, but in the simple and official words of state documents. For many years, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex believed that being close to the United Kingdom's most important ally, the United States, made them impossible to replace. They thought that any royal visit to America would have to include them in some way, or at least recognize them as unofficial royal representatives of the West Coast. But as planning for the 250th anniversary of American independence started, the British Foreign Office, working directly with Prince William's team, sent out a number of diplomatic messages that removed that advantage completely. According to high-level reports shared with major news groups like the BBC and Reuters, the schedule for King Charles and Queen Camilla's 2026 visit was built with a very clear and careful goal: the full removal of the Sussexes. In the past, royal tours included family members and allowed space for casual meetings. In 2026, the rules became much stricter, in a way not seen since the time when Edward VIII gave up the throne. The instruction was simple and direct. This is official state work, and only those who are fully part of the working royal family will be included. This is the moment where James Alexander, the Earl of Wessex, moved from being just a family member to becoming a working part of the state. While the public saw a young man dressed in a sharp suit, the diplomatic world saw something different: a confirmed replacement. Information from planning meetings for the South Lawn reception shows that James was given special briefing documents, usually prepared for the heir or the main spare. He was not just present to smile and wave. He was there to speak with officials from the US State Department, to represent the strength of the Windsor family line, and to show that the monarchy has many capable people and does not depend on someone living in Montecito. The smart use of James in this role cannot be overstated. By raising an 18-year-old with no past problems or controversy, the palace removed Harry's biggest strength. Harry's public image was built on being a more relatable and human option compared to the strict system of the crown. But James Alexander brings a different kind of connection, one based on quiet skill instead of public sharing of personal struggles. When the British Foreign Office planned the 2026 tour, they did more than arrange a visit. They carried out a full structural change. Every opportunity that was once open to Harry was now completely closed, and those chances were given to James. But there is also a more serious side to this administrative change that people are only now starting to understand. Sources say that the choice to give James such an important role in the US visit came directly from a security and protocol review done in late 2025. This review decided that including Harry in any official role would create two separate royal centers, a risky situation where two different versions of the monarchy would compete for attention in America. To stop this from happening, Prince William and the King's advisors made a final and firm decision. They did not just leave Harry out. They made him unnecessary by showing that the royal system could work just as well, or even better, without him. The most surprising detail is that a leaked note from the 2026 planning group suggested that James Alexander's role was so successful that several important American donors and diplomats, who once supported the Sussexes, changed their attention completely to the new group. The empty place was not just filled. Even the memory of who was there before started to fade away in a careful and planned way. But if Harry is no longer the spare, and James has taken his place, what happens to the billions of dollars connected to the Sussex media business? The answer can be found in the silent psychological battle happening between London and California, a battle that James Alexander is winning without speaking a single word. The year 2026 has created a very interesting mental change in how the world, and especially the American public, sees the British monarchy. For a long time, the main idea was about celebrity-style royalty. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were the first leaders of this new movement, leaving the cold and old halls of the palace for the bright and shiny world of California media. They presented a version of royalty that felt personal, emotional, and most of all, very loud. But as James Alexander, the Earl of Wessex, steps onto the world stage, a new, or maybe very old, idea is rising to challenge that power, the strength of quiet duty. The difference between the two sides could not be clearer. On one side, we see the Sussexes, whose public image is built on sharing their private lives again and again. Every complaint, every private talk, and every royal secret has been used to keep them in the global news cycle. It is a type of image that needs constant attention, constant drama, and constant visibility to stay alive. But by 2026, people have started to feel tired of this kind of content. The American audience, who once followed the drama closely, is now beginning to ask a hard question. What is behind the celebrity image? On the other side stands James Alexander. At just 18 years old, he represents a full rejection of the celebrity royal style. He does not have a podcast. He has not written any personal book. He does not chase cameras. Instead, cameras follow him because of his role and the calm strength he shows. Under the guidance of Prince William, James has learned that the greatest strength of the monarchy is its silence. Silence, in royal life, is not about having nothing to say. It is about showing dignity. It shows that the institution matters more than a person's short-term feelings. In 2026, this battle between duty and celebrity reached a breaking point. During the major diplomatic events before the King's visit to the United States, James Alexander showed a level of discipline that made the Sussexes' media actions look more and more desperate. While Harry was seen going to celebrity events and sports matches, James was photographed inside palace offices, reading official papers and taking part in serious meetings with the Foreign Office. For American viewers, the image of James Alexander started to represent the true Briton, a Briton of strength, history, and steady service. This change in how people see things is very damaging for the Sussex business model. If people start to prefer duty over drama, then the celebrity prince becomes something from the past. Prince William understood this very well. By placing James as the face of the monarchy's work in 2026, William changed what the monarchy was offering to the world. He was not offering entertainment. He was offering a serious partnership of leadership. For the first time since they stepped away, Harry and Meghan found themselves being outperformed, not by someone more famous, but by someone more serious. The mental effect on the Sussexes cannot be ignored. Reports from Montecito suggest growing frustration as the influence of James Alexander continues to rise. The idea that Harry was the only relatable royal has been broken by an 18-year-old who shows that you can be young, modern, and relatable while still being strongly loyal to the crown. James Alexander has become living proof that the place Harry once described as a prison was actually a place of purpose and strength. A purpose that James has accepted fully and willingly. As 2026 continues, the numbers show a clear pattern. Social media activity and opinion polls in the United States show a growing interest in the new generation of the House of Windsor. People are curious about James Alexander. They are interested in his calm and serious nature. In a time when people share too much, his choice to stay quiet has made him one of the most talked about royals in the world. He has learned how to be present without being overwhelming, a skill that Harry seems to have lost in the bright light of Hollywood attention. But this is not only about different personalities. It is about the survival of the monarchy in the modern world. If the Sussexes represented the risk of the monarchy turning into just another entertainment brand, James Alexander represents a return to its true purpose, steady and unchanging service to the state. As the plans for the US visit are completed, the real question is not whether Harry will appear. The question is, if he did appear, would anyone still pay attention? The quiet ending of the Sussex era is not a loud event. It is seen in the calm and steady steps of James Alexander as he walks just behind the future king, perfectly matched and fully prepared. The change we are seeing in 2026 is not just a family issue. It is what historians are now starting to call the clear and final ending of the Sussex era. In the world of high-level diplomacy and constitutional law, there is an idea called structural redundancy. This happens when a role or a person is no longer needed because the system has changed and can now work without them. By the time the 2026 state visit to America was fully planned and confirmed, the British monarchy had reached this goal with very careful and exact action. The clearest proof can be seen in the internal changes to the royal household's money and staff. According to the 2026 Sovereign Grant Report, the money that was once set aside for the Sussex security and diplomatic support has now been officially moved elsewhere. This is not a short pause. It is a permanent change in how state money is used. The funds that once supported Harry's work around the world are now being used to support the fast professional growth of the Earl of Wessex. In the view of the British Treasury, Prince Harry no longer exists as a working part of the state. He has been removed in an administrative way. This careful and direct method was created to fix a problem that had troubled King Charles and Prince William since 2020, the idea of being half in and half out. The Sussexes had always believed they could keep their royal identity while living a private life. But the changes in 2026 clearly ended that belief. The palace, working together with the British Foreign Office, created a new set of forward-facing rules. These rules state that government-funded diplomatic roles are only given to those who have made a lifelong promise to serve the crown, a promise that James Alexander signed when he turned 18 in late 2025. By raising James into this position, the palace built both a legal and visual barrier. During the planning of the King's visit to Washington, D.C., the U.S. State Department was given clear instructions about the royal order. There was no hidden role for Harry. There were no informal positions. The American government received a direct list of who officially represents the United Kingdom, and the name Henry Charles Albert David was clearly not on that list. Instead, the name James Alexander was placed at the top of the younger royals, marked as the main advisor to the Prince of Wales during the visit. This was the most important move in Prince William's long-term plan. He understood that as long as the spare role was empty, Harry would always keep some level of influence. By filling that role with a trained and approved replacement, William did more than replace his brother. He removed the importance of his brother's position. The media in the United States, which once saw Harry as the main connection to the British royal family, suddenly had to accept a new reality. The royal system had been updated, and the old version no longer worked with the current structure. But this clear ending goes beyond just money and schedules. It reaches into the core of royal succession itself. In 2026, a quiet but very important change was made to how councillors of state are used. While Harry still remains in the line of succession by birth, his active role has been placed behind many layers of control and approval. The palace has made sure that in any situation where a royal substitute is needed, only working royals like James Alexander have the security approval and official permission to act. The silence from Buckingham Palace about the Sussexes in 2026 is not by chance. It is a planned decision. It is a strong and noticeable silence that shows a future where Harry is not seen as someone to fight, but as someone to ignore. When the King's plane lands in America in April 2026, the world will see a monarchy that has already moved forward. They will see a king, a queen, a Prince of Wales, and a young Earl of Wessex who stands for the next 50 years of stability. The Sussex Chapter did not end with a loud argument. It ended quietly, like a simple click. The click of a door closing. The click of a budget being approved. And the click of a camera taking a picture of James Alexander standing in the place where Harry once stood. The time of the celebrity spare has now been replaced by the time of the loyal new guard. And when we look at how smooth and exact this change has been, it becomes clear that for Harry and Meghan, there is no way back, because the path they once stood on has been fully removed and rebuilt in the image of James Alexander. The rise of James Alexander in 2026 is not just a reaction to past problems. It is the base for the next 50 years of the British monarchy. To understand why Prince William has put so much focus on the Earl of Wessex, we must understand William's own plan for when he becomes king. William is a future king who values strong structure above everything else. He has seen closely how one uncontrolled action can put a 1,000-year-old institution at risk. In James, William has found something that Harry could never offer. A loyal supporter whose main goal is the success of the monarch, not attention from the media. As we look ahead to the 2030s and beyond, the full plan for the House of Windsor has been completely redesigned. The Wessex era shows a return to the traditional way of the royal family working like a strong and organized board, not like a dramatic TV show. James Alexander is being trained to become the ultimate state secretary for the crown. By 2026, his learning has gone far beyond simple royal rules and into deeper areas like constitutional law, international relations, and military planning. He is being prepared to be the man who works quietly behind the scenes, the one who tells the truth to the king when everyone else is making noise. This long-term plan places the Sussexes in a historical dead end. While Harry and Meghan are connected to short-term trends of the 2020s like streaming deals, lifestyle brands, and celebrity conflicts, James Alexander is being connected to the long-lasting rhythm of the state. In 50 years, when historians look back at the time of King Charles III and the change to King William V, the Sussex period will be seen as a short moment of trouble that was fixed by the rise of the new leading group. James is clear proof that the monarchy has the inner strength to repair itself and create the leadership it needs. Inside the palace, the bond between William and James is described as extremely strong. It is a partnership formed during the difficult years from 2020 to 2025, a time when the monarchy faced serious challenges. William is said to have shared private journals and strategic notes from their ancestors with James, focusing on one important lesson. The crown is like a relay race, and the most important job of the spare is to make sure the heir never has to look back in fear. James has accepted this role with a level of maturity that has surprised experienced royal staff. He does not see himself as living in Harry's shadow. Instead, he sees himself as the person who has brought light back to a role that had been affected by frustration and resentment. The 2026 state visit to the United States acts as the official introduction of this 50-year vision. Every handshake James gives in Washington, every meeting he attends at the United Nations, and every discussion he has with world leaders becomes a strong part of the system that will protect William's future throne. The American media, which once focused heavily on Sussex stories, is already starting to change direction. They are beginning to understand that the center of power is moving. You can interview a celebrity many times, but you can only watch a future royal advisor in real action. The mystery around James Alexander is his biggest strength, and the palace is protecting that mystery with great care and determination. By the end of this decade, the difference between working royals and former royals will be so large that comparing them will seem unreasonable. James Alexander will become an experienced diplomat with many years of service, while Harry will remain connected to past complaints. This reflects the clear message given by the British public. They do not want a monarchy that competes with Hollywood. They want a monarchy that offers stability in a world that feels more and more uncertain. James Alexander, as William's loyal advisor, represents that steady continuity. As we study the final plans for the April visit, it becomes clear that the House of Windsor is no longer reacting to problems. Under the leadership of King Charles and the careful planning of Prince William, the monarchy has taken a forward position. They have recognized their weakness, the empty place of a loyal reserve, and they have filled it with someone of very high ability. The time of uncertainty has ended. The time of the new leading group has begun, and at the center of it stands an 18-year-old Earl who has shown that in the world of crowns, silence and duty will always win over noise and fame. As the sun goes down over the Potomac River during the final part of the 2026 state visit, the image captured by the global media tells a story that no official statement could fully explain. There, standing on the carefully kept lawns of the White House, is the future of the British monarchy. It is a future shaped by the calm and steady presence of James Alexander, the young man who stepped into an empty space and turned it into a position of strength. The quiet ending of the Sussex era did not happen through a loud argument or a public conflict. Instead, it was achieved through the strongest tool the monarchy has, time combined with steady duty. By 2026, the story of Harry and Meghan has reached a point where it no longer holds structural importance. While they still remain figures of interest in entertainment, they have been completely separated from the working system of the British state. The empty role of the spare has been filled, not by someone trying to change it, but by someone who respects and honors it. This leads us to a deep and important understanding. Perhaps the biggest irony of Prince Harry's departure is that in trying to break the system, he actually helped create the reason for its most successful upgrade in 100 years. By leaving, he gave Prince William the chance to choose a successor who shows the very loyalty that Harry turned away from. James Alexander did not just step into a role. He brought back a sense of moral balance that had been missing for a long time. So now we are left with one final and powerful question. Did Harry ever think that his search for personal freedom would lead to him being completely removed from the system in an official way? In his effort to become a global figure, he left behind a space that has now been filled by an 18-year-old who understands one key truth. Harry seemed to forget that in the House of Windsor, the crown always wins. Not because it makes the most noise, but because it lasts the longest. The Sussex chapter is now officially over. The story has been closed with one final and firm administrative decision. The Wessex era has begun. And as the royal motorcade moves forward, leaving the past behind, one thing is clear. The throne has found its new leading figure, and the institution has moved ahead. But what do you think? Has the rise of James Alexander finally brought the stability that the monarchy strongly needed? Or is this only the start of a new kind of royal rivalry? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. Don't forget to subscribe and press the notification bell as we continue to follow the quiet changes happening inside the House of Windsor. Thank you for watching.